Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. This is Mike, and what a Motuesday we have had today. It was quite interesting. There's a lot of announcements. I spent the day digesting it, and I'm going to make a quick video about this because tomorrow the Eternia is up for funding, and will it fund in a day? Will we have 5,000 Eternia sold in day one? Possibly. Thanks to Planet Eternia, we've got some pictures of the unlocks. This is exciting. We got the unlocks sort of leaked the day before the funding begins on the 12th, Wednesday. So we've got a couple of these. We're going to talk about them real fast, and I'm going to go over them, but really exciting stuff here. And the most common comment in the comments talking about Eternia is, where's Snake Mountain? Man, Mattel is stepping up with a Snake Mountain that looks pretty awesome. So I've got a lot to say about this too. We're going to get into all of this and more, and a couple other reveals coming up. So before we get into anything else, I personally think this is going to back within the first week, but it could possibly back in day one. So quick overview of the project. It is $550 plus $50 shipping, possibly like a $7 service charge for US. Now outside the US, the shipping can be about $200, and then depending on your currency, the currency exchange rate, this thing can get pretty pricey into the thousands. But as it stands, you're sitting about $650, $670 for a US purchase, and it's going to have about a month to fund starting the 12th of Wednesday. And if you order day one, you get the early bird unlock. The early bird unlock is the King Grayskull. And so here's the thing, any of these unlocks are, I believe from what I've read here, that they are going to ship to you before we actually get this. So they'll make the figure and it'll ship separate, probably way before we get this in springtime of 2024. So it's going to be about a year and a half till we get this. You got to put your money down now, and it'll bill around the 9th of November. So that is a crowdfund. That's how crowdfunds basically usually work. So with all the basics out of the way, we've got this picture here. Now there's other videos. Pixel Dan did a video. The Geek Dads did a video. Mega J Retro did a video talking about all this stuff. But I'm utilizing this picture. I'm only use a few of the Planet Eternia pictures so that you could go to my link. I'm linking them over there so you can go check out more pictures from them. But looking at these, you get a moat creature, which is really cool. It was, I think, part of a sticker or something along those lines. And that's going to be 8,000 backer unlock. Now, it is cool. It's interesting. I've never seen it before, and I never knew I would want this, but it's pretty exciting that we're getting it. And then at 10,000 unlock, we get a Keklar Elder. Now, when I saw this figure for the first time, I thought, that is probably one of the coolest looking figures I've seen. And just like Koldar, which I missed out on Koldar, I should have jumped on that. But Koldar is a cool looking figure. I don't know anything about it. This guy's a cool looking figure, and I don't really know anything about him, but it's so awesome that they can use the standard buck and add a few things to it, such as some sleeves and that cool looking cape and that hood and that big old beard and all that kind of stuff. Really interesting. I really hope these are in that style of packaging with that $150 for He-Man set where you can actually take them out of the packaging without messing up your packaging. That would be pretty awesome. But my last thought on these, aside from they're pretty cool unlocks, is that if you fund this and you decide, hey, I don't really care for the figures, I just want the Eternia, then you could probably make half your money back selling these figures, because most people that aren't backing it would probably still want these. Of course, all of that FOMO out there, but still, that is really exciting about this. Now, the other thing is that I personally believe the Eternia is well worth the $550 asking price. Easily well worth it in 2022, technically 2024, but it's well worth the asking price. These tiers are perfect. They're not what's making up the whole value of it. The Eternia is making up the value. These are just extra add-ons if they sell more, and they're basically profit sharing with you, right? Giving you a kickback because they're going to make a little bit more profit the more they make. So we're going to talk a little bit more about Eternia at the end, because I have actually some personal experiences and observations over the last week that I want to discuss with regards to Eternias, specifically the vintage one. So with this, they did announce that we are getting a Snake Mountain. Now, so many people have asked about Snake Mountain, and I got mixed emotions and feelings about this. Now, my response to everybody has been the same thing. You can go get a vintage one for pretty cheap, under $100, mostly complete, completely complete in perfect condition, close to $200, right? So they haven't announced a price for this one here, and from the outside, it looks a lot like the vintage one. But they added an extra on the left, on the top, like an extra mountain piece. Spire, And then they really enhanced the whole snake, which looks cool. Now, I believe this snake is supposed to be articulated. If you know about the dune sandworm, where it kind of turns around a little bit, has some bit of articulation to it, I think that's what they're going for with that snake. I could actually see some cuts in it where it's supposed to articulate. So that's something they're still probably working out the details on. So that's why it looks kind of strange. But it's going to be really cool compared to the vintage one. And so with that, from the outside, though, it looks a little bit better. The inside's where all of the cool stuff is. You definitely cannot say that this is anything like the vintage one on the inside. The inside of this one is so cool. So much cool stuff. And actually, I kind of wish some of this stuff would have been released separately. Like the skeleton throne. That is awesome. That skeleton throne's in there. And then there's going to be the ability to unplug your figures halfway, put them in the moat down below that folds down. Just really cool features with this. Of course, it comes with a standard ladder. That's kind of boring. But the gel cage, the gel cell cage, you can drop your figures into it, and then they're trapped in the cage. And it can move, and you can move it up to plug it in over there underneath the top door. So many cool things. There's actually a weapons rack with weapons, and just so much interactivity and playability with this that it's definitely better than the vintage one. It's way better than the vintage one. So I'm kind of the one that thought we didn't need this. And now I think it's really cool that it's coming out. But lastly, the downside to this is I think that there is at least half or a quarter of the demand for this that there was for the Castle. Castle Grayskull was the highest demand, and this will be probably about a quarter of that. Now, getting back to Eternia later, but that might fund in a day simply because it's so high profile, and you can finally take an unattainable item and make it attainable to the masses. This is already attainable. The vintage one is already attainable. Now, I'm guessing the price on this is going to be anywhere between 100 and 120. The thing is that Castle Grayskull came out 2 years ago. We've had, in reality, we've had 30% inflation a year because of that. So if you really kind of add that up, they're saying 8.5, but they're not counting any energy or food in 8.5% inflation. So with that, if this is under $100, I think that's a decent price. So $99 if it's at a retail. And I do believe it's going to be a retail release, a full-on retail release. They didn't say this is going to be a campaign or anything like that, but they're still going to work a few more things out. This will come out fall of 2023. Okay, so there's a few more reveals, and then I'm going to get to talk a little bit more about Eternia, but this is the Duncan from the Masterverse Revelations, and I wasn't really impressed with how they did Man-at-Arms, but it is a cool looking figure, and so with that, I'm probably definitely picking one of these up. I think that the first Man-at-Arms they made was awesome, the one that's already come out in the Revelations or Masterverse line. This one here was just kind of, I guess, going in hiding, if you want to say that, but he's a nice looking figure. He's big, he's bulky, he's buff. There's a lot of accessories with him, so, and I believe he's a standard release. He's not a deluxe, so that's pretty awesome because it's that much for not being a deluxe. Next up, we have this Frogmonger, which was another one that was pictured on the moat area or in the sticker, on the sticker of the Snake Mountain. So this thing is pretty cool looking, and I do kind of remember the look of the face on the sticker and all that kind of stuff. I don't remember the arm on them, but it's a cool looking figure, and this is going to be one of those that's, I don't know if they say it's a crowdfund or if there's enough interest in it, but there's definitely going to be enough interest in it. So if they put it up on Mattel Creations, hopefully it's still only the $17 price point, and people buy a few of them each and that kind of stuff. This should be something they say, hey, you buy as many as you want for 48 hours, and then we'll see how many we sell, and of course we'll do it, and they'll sell plenty, more than they need to meet their minimum order quantities. So really cool. This is Skeletor, and from what I'm understanding, that has something to do with a release in Germany, just like Anti-Eternia He-Man or something along those lines. So still kind of cool, repainting He-Man over and over, different colors. I do like the color scheme. I would definitely pick a couple of him up. Now, when I say pick a couple of these up on Mattel Creations, here's the biggest problem with Mattel Creations. They're going to charge you a standard shipping, whether you buy one or you buy three. So it just kind of makes sense to buy a few and maybe work it out with a local buddy that's a collector, but not everybody's got that. It just doesn't seem to make it worth it to buy just one and then pay that whole shipping. So I just want to bring that point up. And it would be nice if they would do these orders at the same time so you could have the one shipping on 2 or 3 figures and get maybe 2 or 3 figures with the one shipping. But anyway, this figure does look pretty cool. No dates on when this is going to be up for order, but obviously everyone's going to be talking about it, so we're going to be all in on it. Now, Moss Man is going to be a Walmart exclusive as, I guess, a deluxe. I'm guessing. Is he going to be a deluxe? He's going to be a regular release. But he's going to come with extra stuff to make him look like the Beastman concept and kind of stuff. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of interesting. He will be flocked just like the original, and he's going to have some sort of a pine smell to him. But it looks pretty cool. I think this is a nice release, a good one that we need. And Walmart exclusives aren't the hardest to get. I got to say, though, getting the G.I. Joe stuff like Crimson Guard and Storm Shadow, those might be impossible. I don't think he'll be impossible. I think he'll be pretty easy to get. But then again, I could be wrong. So getting back to Eternia, I do think it will fund within 24 hours, if not 48 hours. But 5,000 in the first day is very, very possible because of the fact that they're bringing something unattainable to the average collector to make it attainable. And yes, 550 is a hefty price, but it's definitely worth it. Definitely worth it, especially with these unlocks. And I'm 100% sure we're going to unlock that 10,000. I'm curious if they're going to do like a 12 and a 15 or what they're going to do with that. But with this past week, and well, actually the past 2 months, but I paid really close attention this past week to the vintage ones. And a lot of people say, well, you can't really compare vintage to modern. But over the 20-something years that I've been collecting, I've seen Eternia shells, towers. And lately, I was thinking, well, maybe I could pick up some shells for $300, $300 to $500. And yes, you usually can. But I've looked at sets that are either close to complete or nearly complete. Now, this one here sold. Now, it's not complete, but it's pretty close. $1,200. Now, they list all the slew of issues in here, but with that, it's still a pretty good set overall. $1,200. The vintage one's going to be carrying some value. But right now, there's a slew of vintage ones being thrown on eBay because people are dumping them because they're wanting to get a nice new crispy one, or they just want to get out of it altogether. So I don't know the reasons for dumping them, but there we go. So this one sold for $1,200 plus 120 shipping. This one sold for $1,900 plus almost 200 shipping. And these are sold listings. Now I don't know if they were already paid for and shipped out, or if the buyer is backing out of paying for it. I don't know. I don't know any of that kind of stuff, but I've seen a lot of that stuff going on lately. But I want to point out that these all have some sort of issues, especially with that track. And it's not the collector's fault that owns this or the seller's fault. It's the fact that it's very brittle over time, or even right out of the box when it was new. I heard it was pretty brittle. So hopefully they fix that with this upcoming one. But if you do have problems with your new one that you order from Mattel Creations, there's going to be a certain period of time that you could call up and get parts replaced. So replacement parts from them. And so with that, this is really kind of exciting and kind of awesome that we're getting the opportunity to own something like this that is still would be kind of unattainable to the average collector if it wasn't for Mattel Creation. Now, lastly, I do want to say if you're like me and like, hey, I was just trying to set out to find the 3 towers for a good price, this seller wants $700. Now, there's a couple of parts on here, some decent parts on it too. It's not completely just shells. Like I usually see shells like literally stripped down, and everybody wants a minimum of $300 to $500. Plus, of course, the crazy shipping because it's so big and all that kind of stuff. And just see how much a seller charges you to ship something like this. I mean, that's going to be more than $50. I guarantee it. So my whole point is that the value's there for this Eternia. I think the price point on this Snake Mountain is going to be around $100, whether or not the Eternia funds. But Eternia is funded. It's a guarantee Eternia will fund. But whether or not it funded, this thing is still going to be about $100 price point with inflation, since we saw what happened with the $75, $80 Castle Grayskull. It's been 2 years. It's been rampant inflation that we haven't seen since the 70s. So anyway, I'm going to be making another video Thursday. Hopefully it says funded in a day. And we'll be talking about that on Thursday. I've got a Retro Wednesday coming up also. But exciting. If you want more pictures, go to Planet Eternia. Check them out. Very, very exciting times. And I look forward to seeing what happens all day tomorrow. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Are you in on this? Are you excited about these unlocks? Are you watching from the sidelines and having a good time, though? Because you can do that. It is possible. Like and subscribe. Pygarium Hanger out.